Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Math 096. I'm looking forward to working with you all this semester. I can already tell we've got a great group. It's, shaking off the summer rust and people are just working diligently already in math like you never left math at the end of last semester. So we're going to start with the massive packet, the thickest one that you have on your table. Again, you should have 5 different handouts, so count to 5, make sure you have one of each. But we'll begin up here at the top. With this daily summary. And Jasper, would you mind reading the daily summary for us? Thank you. Rashmi, number 1. Okay, thank you. So here's a document that you don't have. Do you mind moving to a less crowded table for me? Any other one is good. Thank you. Any other one. All right, so you don't have this document, but I just want to make sure that everybody is in the right place. And Math 096 is kind of a funny course in that it does not count towards the math requirement of the liberal arts degree, but there is another course that almost all and possibly all of you could take right now this semester and change into, which would count towards that math requirement. And I just want to make sure we're all in the right place. So Math 095 is introductory algebra. Some of you took that here. Some of you placed into this course via the AccuPlacer. So currently you are here. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try it again. Okay, we'll figure that out in a little bit. Okay, we're just going to point. Currently you are here. Again, this one does not count towards the math requirement. It does branch into a long list of courses culminating in calculus and beyond. Also, if you want to take a stats class, which some of you maybe need to for your major, this course will meet the prereq for that stats class. So if that is where you're headed, any mathy, sciencey, computery, engineering-y discipline, you're headed down this branch. Statistics is a course that many of you need. You're in the right spot. But if you are a liberal arts major and you are not interested in taking any other math classes in your future for work or for a major, then we've got another course, Math 117, Mathematical Problem Solving. And again, most and possibly all of you are eligible to take that class right now. And so if there's a possibility that maybe this is not the right course for you, please talk to me right after class and we'll see if we can get you into the right course this semester. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so the other thing I wanted to chat about is just the syllabus. So go ahead and pull the syllabus out. Okay, just a few highlights. Come on in. You know, that chair right there is just the draw for everybody that comes in. Do you mind moving to this table right here in the middle? That would be super. Thank you. Okay, my contact info is up there at the top. Please call me Ian. I've got phone numbers and an email address there, so please contact me if you wanted to chat. Office hours, studio hours are listed. I do want to highlight right down here the textbook and required materials. Raise your hand if you've used something called My Math Lab before. Just a couple of folks, which is fine. So we'll have a lot to say about My Math Lab, but just the nutshell summary here. My Math Lab is where you're going to do all your homework. It's on the computer. It's a web page, and that's how you'll do your homework. It also has a digital copy of the entire textbook. So you can see here it says optional is a hard copy of the course text. So you don't need to buy a hard copy, but if you really want to have the hard copy, you can buy one. But the entire textbook is online with your My Math Lab code. And My Math Lab also comes with lots of video explanations and worked out problems and lots of stuff that isn't in the textbook, okay? So it is required. It is something that you can either buy in the bookstore or you can buy through the publisher Pearson. So shop around, prices are not the same every place, so see if you can get the best deal possible. In terms of timing, so if finances are an issue at this particular moment, I can tell you that you can go today to the My Math Lab page I'll tell you where that is. And you can get a free 14-day trial. So even if you need a little bit of time to kind of figure out, like, you don't need to pay for it at this particular moment, but I would love for folks to get signed up officially so that they can start working on the homework, because there will be a homework assignment tonight, okay? So in terms of due dates, this is the last page. So just jump to the last page of the syllabus. So there's lots of info. We'll look at this calendar a bunch during the semester, but today is September 2nd. And the homework for today, the homework assignment that we're assigning at the end of class today is due September 9th. That's 1 week from today. That is a lot longer than I normally give for homework. You can see here on, for example, the 14th, the homework from that day is due on the 16th. 16th is due on the 18th. Homework is always going to be due the next class, except here in the beginning, I know that some folks are going to take a little bit of time to get used to My Math Lab and get that access code purchased. So I'm giving people a week just for the first assignment here, and then we'll get into that due the next day pretty soon, okay? All right, so in terms of signing into My Math Lab, there's another handout, completely separate one called How to Register for My Math Lab. It's got lots of screenshots. It's very nice. My colleague Jen made this. I didn't make this. But anyway, it has all the info that you need for signing in and then figuring out how to navigate around this brand new website, okay? So next thing in the syllabus, we're going to jump almost to the end here. Just talk a tiny bit. Let's see. Can you find this page? It's near the end. It says course grade at the top. So at the end of the semester, I have to give everybody a grade. Here are the percentages that I'm going to give you your grade based on. Homework is worth 10%. Quests are worth 45%. The word quest, it's kind of a funny word. It's like between a quiz and a test. Like it's maybe a little bit bigger than a quiz, but it's not as big as a test. So we'll merge those two words together. We have 5 of those things through the semester. There are 2 tests and then a final exam at the end of the semester. The dates for all of those things, again, are on this calendar. You can see our first quest is September 18. And like I said, every date is listed there in that column all the way up to the final exam on the 21st, all right? Okay, so I think that is that. One of the parts of your homework assignment for tonight is going to be to read through this syllabus. There is a ton of info here. Earlier in my career, I used to walk through like almost everything in the syllabus, and it was just boring as heck for everybody, and that's not a good use of our time. So you're going to read through lots of information, and you're going to answer a few questions about the syllabus and tell me what concerns you have and what questions you have about the syllabus as part of your homework assignment for tonight, okay? All right, enough of that. Let's do some math. Number 2, you have 20 seconds to get to know the names of a few of your classmates. Introduce yourself to at least 4 nearby classmates and write their names here. Go. Mary Ellen. Okay, so let's jump into the demo right here. Number 3, can we move around to this table here? Could you read number 3 for us? Keep going. Okay, so we got this table. You guys are going to fill in those 6 blanks right there. Everything is based on the equation y equals x plus 4. So follow the model set out in that first row. Once you finish that, you're going to work through everything else on this page. Work with your neighbors. You now know their names, so you are all friends. Go ahead. Okay, so we can come back together. Probably you have checked your answers with your neighbors, which is great. I filled in the last column of my table, plotted my points, drew my line. So hopefully most of that is something that's quite comfortable for you. You've seen it before. It's okay if you didn't quite remember the order of the quadrants. There's a reminder down there. So which quadrants does that line pass through? 1, 2, and 3, right? Doesn't hit 4, but it goes through all the other ones. Just one thing about drawing lines. Some folks had their line drawn like this, where it had a definite start and a definite end as determined by the numbers in the table. But the numbers in the table were fairly arbitrary. How many points are on the line, really? Infinitely many, right? And so it's kind of, I don't know if arrogant is the right word, but like it feels arrogant to me to stop the line there. Like the table that I created has something to do with what this line is actually doing, right? So make sure that you extend past the beginning and the end. Oftentimes I'll ask you to go to the end of the grid. I'm not so neurotic. I need to see arrows on the ends of the two lines. You can put them if you want to, but I definitely don't want to see people starting and stopping at particular points, okay? All right. So the next page involves solving an equation. Can we go to the young lady in the green shirt for number 4, please? Okay, thank you. So we're going to walk through these two things. If you want to take notes on it, you can, but all the steps for the solutions here are written out. Just want to point out the difference between these two options. So first of all, you guys all buy that we could distribute that 5/3 into both the x and the minus 65, right? So, so that gets us to this next line. This guy right here might not look so familiar. It's a little bit of work, right, to hit that 5/3 into the 65. But anyway, you can trust me, you get this 325/3. And then we notice that there are x's on both sides. So how do we handle that? Let's get them all on one side. How about we move the 5/3 x to the left by subtracting 5/3 x from both sides? So that's what we've done in this next step right here. Subtract 5/3 x from both sides. It disappears on the right, moves over to the left. Trying to combine these two guys, it might be kind of frightening. I mean, fractions are not the easiest things in the world to deal with, but whenever I see something that I don't quite know how to handle because there are fractions or decimals or something kind of messy involved, I translate it into numbers that are friendlier for me, and then I see if I can figure out what to do. In my mind, I see 7x minus 4x. It's the same, just different numbers, yeah? Something times x minus something times x. What is 7x minus 4x? It's 3x. How did we get 3? 7 minus 4, right? So apparently what we're supposed to do, so I'll write it out here, 7 minus 4 times x, that's what we do. Might not even think about it, but that's what we're doing. So I guess what that means is that if I want to do a half x minus 5/3 x, I really need to do what calculation? Over here? Right, because we're going to have to do a half minus 5/3, and that involves finding a common denominator, yeah? Yeah, so I'm not going to show all the details here, but I think that's exactly it. You guys buy the common denominator here. Lowest common denominator is 6. So we turn both denominators into 6. Great. So again, that might be kind of shaking off some rust for you, but it's something you have seen before. And again, it's messy. And there's an alternative down below, which is a whole heck of a lot nicer than this. So I'd like you to be able to do this after you shake off the rust, but I also am kind of doing this to show you that there's a better option. So anyway, you combine the two fractions by getting the common denominator. Turns out you get negative 7/6 is what we get when we do that subtraction. So there's an x next to it. And then the last step here is to move that negative 7/6 over to the other side. You could do that by dividing both sides by negative 7/6. Oh my goodness, now we've got a fraction in the bottom of another fraction, yeah? That's kind of bad. Maybe a better option would be to multiply both sides by something. What can I multiply both sides by to get rid of that negative 7/6? Positive 7/6, positive 6/7. Oh, that sounds promising, right? Because if I multiply over here by 6/7, then I can cancel the 6's and I can cancel the 7's, and I'm left with almost 1. What am I left with if I cancel the 6's and 7's? Is -1. So maybe instead of 6/7, negative 6/7. That'll get rid of the negative 7/6. What's the fancy word for flipping a fraction over? Reciprocal. Good. So multiply both sides by that reciprocal. All right. So negative 6/7 over there. It completely disappears on the left. Again, you got more fraction arithmetic on the right. Turns out you get 650/7, and that's the answer. That's not a very nice problem for a teacher to show you on the first day, is it? So let's take a look at a better option. Same first equation. How about we decide that we want to avoid all of the messiness of those fractions by getting rid of the fractions from the beginning? What number do 2 and 3 both go into? Smallest number they both go into is 6. So how about we multiply both sides by 6? You can see it here. Everything else is copied except for a times 6 in the front on both sides. And then we're going to do this canceling, which is the best thing in this problem. 6 and 2 cancel and make 3. 6 and 3 cancel and make 2. And what did we just get rid of? The fractions. Fantastic. There's no fractions in this problem until the very last step. So left-hand side is simply 3x. The right-hand side is a little bit of work. That 2 needs to hit the 5 that's still there. That's where the 10 comes in. Yep. Okay. And then what can we do with the 10? We can multiply, distribute through, right? We get 10x minus 650. Oh, so much friendlier. Move the x's over by subtracting 10x. And then finally, last step, how do we get that -7 out of the way? Divide both sides by -7, right? This probably just feels so much nicer than the way that's up above. That's one of our threads, is oftentimes there's more than one way to solve a problem. Nothing wrong with what we did above, but if you have multiple tools in your toolbox, you might be able to save yourself some work. Okay. I think that is that. One thing I'll point out, at the end of each of the demos, there is an answer key, so you can always check. I'm hoping that first you check with each other, and if there's a disagreement, you talk it out and work it out with each other. But if you really can't get to some conclusion that you guys all agree with, the answer key is always going to be there. All right, so that's the demo. The rest of class, we go until 9:50, so we've got about 49 minutes, is going to be this collection of activities. Let's get somebody to read through this note here. Can we go to the back? Elijah, right? Could you read the note for us, please? Okay, thank you. So number 1 has a bunch of parts. You're going to solve each equation. You're going to show all of your steps, and then you can do the check. It's not mandatory you do the check, but maybe just do a couple of them to make sure that you're getting the right answer. And as usual, check in with each other, raise the flag if I can help. Go for it. Sorry to interrupt, you've just gotten to work. I just have 2 quick announcements that I forgot to make. So first one has to do with the Math Studio. Raise your hand if you got my email about the Math Studio. Super, got to sleep in a little bit. So the Math Studio is that wonderful room right across the hallway. It is oftentimes staffed by faculty members. I'm in there myself once a week, and my colleagues are in there as well. And it's just a place where math students go and they hang out and they work on homework, and they get help from other math students, and they get help from faculty that are on duty. And you just drop in. I will give you a schedule once the schedule is available. It should be hopefully end of this week, maybe early next week. Even though on your official schedule it says 8 to 8:30 in that room, that is optional. It is not part of the official class. We start officially at 8:40. Aim for like 8:30 to get in this room because we start promptly at 8:40 every day. Any questions on that? Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to announce, I mentioned that I mentioned that there are due dates for the My Math Lab homework assignments. Now you can turn your My Math Lab homework in late and you will still get credit for it, but there is a 10% penalty that is just automatically programmed in. I don't want to put it on My Math Lab. I programmed it in so that to encourage folks to turn things in on time. Let's suppose that you get all the problems done in an assignment except for 2 and you get them all done on time, and then you do the last 2 problems after the due date. The penalty only applies to the ones that are after the due date. So you get full credit on anything that you've done, even if it's a partial assignment that you've done, as long as you do it before the due date, okay? All right, get to it.